Hello everyone, this is Keith Jackson and welcome to Jack's Math Notebook. In this video, we're going to provide you with 3 examples on how to find the slope of a line when given only 2 points. And so let's take a look at the first example in which we have point -6 comma -3, and it's connected to 3 comma 3, keeping in mind that -6 is your x value for this point and -3 is your y value for this point, while for the other point, we have 3 as our x and 3 as our y. And we're going to use y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1 to find that slope of a line, keeping in mind that it is the change in y over the change in x, represented by this symbol here, delta y over delta x. And a good way to do this to keep you from getting confused is to name the points, right, with their x and y values. I'm going to call this one x sub 1 and y sub 1 just to make it simple. And then I'm going to call this one x sub 2, y sub 2. They're interchangeable just as long as you keep the relationship the same, right? So again, I named this point x sub 1 and this point y's and its y value y sub 1. Right here, I'm going to name this one x sub 2 along with its y value y sub 2. And I'm just going to plug them in using this formula right here. And so in this case, I have a 3 minus a -3 right here over 3 minus a -6 right here. And so here's what's going to happen because we have this double minus right here. They actually form a plus sign that you see right here. And we see it here as well. So we have a 3 plus 3, and that would give us 6. And we have a 3 plus 6 right here, and that would give us 9. And so our value will be 9/6, but we can simplify that because 6/9 can be simplified if we divide both numbers by 3. Both the numerator and the denominator by 3 can be simplified to 2/3. And so actually, our slope is 2/3, and that is a positive slope, meaning that it has a high right and a low left. Okay, so if it's positive, the right side of the line is higher than the left side of the line. All right, so let's take a look at our second big example in which we have one point at 10 comma -4 and the other point at 5 comma -1 using our y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over our x sub 2 minus our x sub 1. Keep in mind that the change in y is over the change in x, and we're going to name our values right here. And so for our first point, x would be x sub 1 along with its y sub 1. And then for our second point, our x sub 2 will go along with its y sub 2, as you see right here. And so what we're going to do, we're going to take this -1 and subtract it from this -4. So we have a -1 minus a -4. And then we're going to take this x value and subtract it from this x value right here. And so we have a 5 minus 10. And here's what it's going to look like when we further simplify it. Now we have a -1 plus 4, and we have a 5 minus 10, and that's going to give us 3 in the numerator and a -5 in the denominator. And so our value, or I should say our slope, will be -3/5. And so the slope here will be a -3/5, meaning that it's going to have a high left and a low right. The line will have a high left side and is going to have a low right side. That's why this is a negative slope. And finally, let's go to our third big example in which we have one point at 3 comma -1 and the other point at 9 comma 1 using y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1, keeping in mind that the change in y is over the change in x. And let's just keep it simple by naming our points with their values. And so we're going to call this one x sub 1 along with its y sub 1, and we're going to call this one our x sub 2 along with its y sub 2 right here. And we know that we have a 1 minus a -1 again right here. Notice that. And then we have a 9 minus 3. The denominator is a little bit more simple to simplify, right, to calculate. And so we have this -1 minus a 1, which is really a 1 plus 1, and that will give us 2. And of course, 9 minus 3 will give us 6. And so we have 2 over 6 as our slope, but that could be simplified when we divide 6, when we divide both the numerator and the denominator by 2, and that would give us 1/3. And so our slope in this case would be a positive 1/3, meaning that the right side is going to be higher than the left side. Okay, you have been given a lot of information. And I wouldn't blame you if you need to pause the video to take a look at how you find the slope between 2 points, or replay this video as many times you need to get a deeper understanding of this concept. But in the meantime, please comment, share, like, and subscribe to Jack's Math Notebook for more content. Thank you and goodbye.